All right, everybody, here we go, and welcome to my post-market wrap-up on this Tuesday, December 4th, 2018. I have a lot I want to discuss with you. I want to put a perspective on what's going on now, and maybe even more importantly, some disturbing undercurrents with regard to this market. And let's see if we can make some sense of this. Let's start off with the basics. Stocks plunged today, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average falling nearly 800 points. Okay. It's no secret what is occurring here in the bond market. And I want to show you something that was brought to my attention earlier today. And that is this. I'm going to show you the spread now between the 2-year, the 3-year, and the 5-year. Okay. If you notice, looking at this right now, both the 2-year and the 3-year are paying more than the 5-year. Okay. So what does this tell us? This yield curve inversion seems to be worsening, in my view. And I would think you would have to agree with me. The fact that we just got the Trump Powell put under this market has clearly caused a further distortion in the yield curves now being reflected here. This is a side effect of more easy money, more cash being printed out of thin air, more digits being added to a screen to keep rates suppressed. And unfortunately, and you know, before this announcement and I would really have to say, I was very outspoken against President Trump pushing his, I don't want to say narrative, but his theme that the Federal Reserve needs to keep the easy money going. Because the fact of the matter is, if we really had a strong economy, like we're being fist-fed even today, a 25 basis point hike to the federal funds rate would have been non-event. So there's obviously an undercurrent here that we're not being told about, but we're seeing being reflected in the markets. You understand that? I've been explaining to all of you for years that we need a real market. These distortions are truly beyond the scope of any rational person to get their head around. They're too big. And we're starting to see some disturbing undercurrents. Let's talk about that now. Okay. Yes, the stock market today got walloped. Now, what you might not hear from the mainstream financial channels, and if you do, I would be surprised, I'd like to hear about it, is a massive imbalance with regard to how many stocks were selling off as to how many were being bought up. A massive skew to the sell side. Now, think about what I'm going to tell you here. We witnessed something today that, to me, I find disturbing. I don't know another way to put it. It wasn't so much here that people were dumping stocks. Okay? Sit down. It's that there was a profound lack of buyers. You understand? So I know this may seem confusing to people, and most people think of it in these terms. Let me clarify what I'm talking about. Most people believe that there is, for every sale at whatever price, there is a buyer. This is not actually true. and we witnessed this, and I'm going to put this into pretty big terms, but I don't want you to get scared, all right? We witnessed the same thing at the beginning of the stock market crash of 1929. There were a lot of sellers, not too many buyers. What was happening then happened today. And this is what I want to talk about right now in this little segment. Let's say, for example, you owned stock XYZ and you wanted to sell it at X price. You offer it to the market. No one wants to buy it. So what do? You lower that price to another X. No one wants to buy it. Uh-oh. Now you really want to get rid of the stock. So you lower the price again, looking for a buyer out there. Maybe by the third or the fourth time you lower the price, you'll get a buyer. That's what we witnessed today. That's a frightening prospect. And I've raised this specter before. I had said years ago that we are going to run up against a moment in time where there's going to be a lot of sellers and not too many buyers. And it's the same scenario. Again, look, I'm not any smarter than you are. I just understand these markets and I know how they work. Like, really, I know how they work. Should be obvious to you. But at the top of every bubble, and when we get this kind of selling, we see the same thing. Now, that does not mean that we're not going to see a rush of buyers come in here on Thursday. Why Thursday? The markets are closed tomorrow. So maybe it'll give the market a chance to digest what just happened. Excuse me, itchy nose. But we have to keep these things in mind. So, just to put this into perspective before I move forward, because I want to talk about more things, we had a massive sell-off in the stock market, a massive skew of sellers, not too many buyers. That is reflective of things we have seen before. You got it? So with that said, now I hope you have an understanding of how stock prices fall and fall precipitously. And again, let's keep our eye on this. Now, let's move forward a little bit. As I explained to you earlier, the yield curve inversion was getting a lot of coverage today on the mainstream financial channels, but CNBC here stands out as the supreme cod. Why? They had a guest out there today who actually was trying to convince you that we did not have a yield curve inversion, despite what's right before your eyes and what I just showed you. They want you to believe that a yield curve inversion only occurs when the entire curve flips over. This is a complete falsehood. It is the distraction. We have instability, it should be clear to you right now, in the bond market. I've spoken about this many, many times, how I do not like to see bond yields rise rapidly or sell off or drop rapidly regarding the 10-year yield. That's instability. Now, again, with this little rift in the yield curve, which has now encompassed the 2, 3, and the 5, that's not a good sign. That's a sign that things are getting worse. The fact that the 10-year yield is dropping, like I explained to you earlier, means the entire curve is starting to fall, starting to lean over here. And its effect on the market can be seen on what we witnessed today. However, I do not want you to be misled. So this brings me to my next segment I want to talk about. A lot of the sell-off that we witnessed today is because of this supposed China-U.S. trade truce. There is another disturbing factor here. And I would love to hear from you on this. Those of you that have a functioning brain, because some of you don't, and that's the truth. And the vast majority of you are with it and you get it. But what I want to know, and I think you are entitled to know, is why we are not being allowed to see the supposed truce that was made between the United States and China. This information is being withheld from us. Why this is such an issue is we have China now coming out saying, hey, hold on a minute, no concessions were made on our side, but the Trump administration is saying that there was. If this is true, why are we not being allowed to see the agreement? Is it a national security issue? This is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We don't live in Saudi Arabia, all right? This is a trade truce, or so we're being told. China's saying, yeah, it's a truce. But we're getting conflicting stories here, and the market, the stock market, doesn't like it. Someone is lying. And until I see proof from the Trump administration that China made these concessions, I want to see the agreement. In my view, it's the president who's lying. Wouldn't you agree? Don't you think there should be some kind of transparency here? It's rattling the markets. Is this part of the plan? To withhold information from the American people? Again, this is not Saudi Arabia. This is supposed to be the United States of America. Now, let's talk about a few other things that played out today, and this should not be a surprise. Whenever we see action like this in the market, the mainstream financial China start parading out big guns. So they pulled out Jamie Dimon today. Jamie Dimon, you know who this guy is, requires no introduction. He wants you to understand that the economy is strong. Okay, that's his message. Then we get New York Fed President John Williams. He was paraded out too. What did he say? Guess what, everyone? Economy is strong. It's looking really, really good. Now, would you expect them to say anything different? The only person they didn't parade out yet is Warren Buffett. He's going to be the next one, the next troll that's going to be put out here before the public to try to convince people that everything is fine. Ignore the fact that we have a whole lot of sellers in this market, but not a whole bunch of buyers. Ignore the yield curve, because it really didn't invert, according to CNBC. They don't want you to understand what's going on. They have got to spin it. You're not allowed to know the truth. You don't rank high enough. Understand, you, as an American citizen, do not rank high enough to be told the truth. You, as an American citizen, do not rank high enough to even be able to see the truce agreement between China and the United States. You know that, right? You don't rank high enough. You're not entitled to that privilege. Well, I take the opposite side of that. I think we are entitled to it. The market thinks it's entitled to it as well. So not all of this selling here was because of the yield curve issue. A lot of this is because the market is losing confidence in this truce. Is it really a truce? What is it? I don't know. Do you know? We need to be told what's actually going on here. Did China really make concessions like they're denying? Or did we get concessions like President is saying we did? I don't know about you, but I rank high enough to see it, okay? And I know that you do as well. So anyway, let's keep our eye on this. Tomorrow the market is closed, which gives me a day off. I'll miss all of you. That's the truth. And honestly, if anything happens overnight with the overnight markets, I'll come out and I'll do a video tomorrow. But barring that, I'm going to relax tomorrow. I'm going to sit back and just watch a movie, just like you should. I think I've covered a lot of stuff here that's important. And I want to hear from all of you. Do you think you rank high enough to be told the truth from not just the Confederacy of Dunces, but from our president as well, from the administration? Or do you think this is Saudi Arabia? Do you think this is part of Trump's plan because he's just so damn smart that he has to hold this stuff back because he just has to do it? It just has to be done. You know that, right? All right, look, before I go off the deep end here, if this has been important to you, if people need to know this stuff, please do me a favor. favor, look, I can't even talk. Share this video. Get it out here. If you're on my team, I'm counting on you to do that. I love all of you from the heart. See you later on Thursday, unless something pretty dramatic happens. Bye-bye.